Technical difficulties, like always. I think my computer took a crap, so I'm on a different one. I finally got it set up and going. So here we go, BudTalk Live Tuesday night. What's going on out there this fine Tuesday evening, MECA heads? How we doing out there in MECA land? I hope everybody's having a good start to their week. I know I sure am. All you guys up north, feel sorry for you. I'm hanging out in outer space. I got my stormtrooper, and we've been, kicking it, getting our install done up at Tony's. Still got a little ways to go. Got most of the wiring done. Got some deadener done. Made a few little videos today with the equipment we're putting in there, and hopefully we'll get it installed tomorrow. But I wanted to go ahead real quick. I'm going to have Mr. Brett Barnes on here this evening with me from Prodigy Audio, one of our newest manufacturer members. Shout out to Prodigy Audio. Also, all of our sponsors, audio sellers. I'm having a brain fart because that threw me off. Audio sellers, Brand X, US Amps, Arc Audio, Prodigy Audio. I think I got it right so far. So keep adding those to the list this year. Thanks to all those folks. But this evening, we're going to have Brett Barnes on here with me here in a minute. Before we get started here, how we doing this evening, MECA heads? Like I said, I hope you're off to a good week. Pretty warm here where we're at. I haven't had much time to check on things or get on the computer and stuff here. But we had a really good 4X event. Quite a few sound quality competitors. We had a few little mistakes and stuff, but hopefully we learned from it, and we'll build off of that. It was good seeing all the Florida competitors that came out and competed with us Saturday there at the Hernando County Fairgrounds. Shout out to Jason Swain and John Kent for putting that together there. Tony for getting us involved. It was a great show. Like I said, we ended up running overtime because I think it was 16 or 17 sound quality entries. So we weren't quite prepared for that. And then with the noise, we went across the field, and then some of us wasn't thinking. And, I slapped about 50 score sheets on Shannon's lap and thought it would be done in 20 minutes, but I thought wrong. Duh. So we'll get better at that, surely. But thanks to all those that came out and competed. I think I had a couple of new world records. I did have a couple guys do the cabin clout class. Unfortunately, I don't think any of the demo guys came over, checked the bandwidth class out, but check that out. I think once we get a few people doing it, it's going to be fun. I think we got an event coming up this coming weekend there in Texas, if I remember right. So that's coming up. And like I said, make sure you like us up, share us up. Should be on YouTube and Facebook at this point. I guess last thing I'm going to say before I bring Brett on here is I'll make a little post later on. But I just want to let all my Michigan folks know that I'm happy to announce that Wayne Beard is going to be officially stepping into the role of event director for Michigan. Wayne's been judging with us, competing with us for the last 4 or 5 years here. Been judging with us the last at least 3 years. So he has a lot of passion for both the sound pressure and sound quality leagues, as well as him already being our head of show and shine. So his mission is basically to get out there and keep the Michigan scene going for us, support the local shops, and ensure that all of our shows are fun and fair. Trying to get it together for you MECA heads in Michigan. So be on the lookout. The schedule should start picking up here soon. And remember, whether you're a seasoned competitor or you're just getting your first system, Wayne's there to help you get involved. So if you have locations or need guidance, make sure you hit Wayne up. And I want to welcome him to our event director team. So make sure you give Wayne a shout and show him some love. I think that is all I have before I go get Mr. Brett. I don't know if my chat box is working because I'm not seeing any comments in my chat box. So I don't think my chat box is working. Yeah, I don't know. But I normally don't use this computer, like I said. So, anyways, thanks for checking us out. And I'm going to bring Mr. Brett on here and we'll talk about some Prodigy audio. If you got questions, he'll be able to answer them, let you know where to pick it up. He's also got quite a bit of experience in music and car audio as well. So, should be a pretty good live here. So, I'm going to bring Brett Barnes with Prodigy Audio into the chat here. All right,
There I am.
on. How you doing this evening?
Doing pretty well. Seems like I just saw you.
It wasn't long ago. Wasn't long ago.
Wasn't long ago at all. That was a good training
So,
that you guys put on
yeah,
Saturday, Sunday. I mean, it was great.
thank you. Yeah, Brett attended our training here with us Saturday. He gave us some pretty good questions, and it was the first time that we ever really presented everything, I guess, in a training module. We've always kind of had the sound quality and a little bit of install, so a lot of it was a little new for us, but hopefully we're moving in the right direction and standardizing our formats a little bit better and getting all of our judges on the same page there. So, kind of like McDonald's, when you go to McDonald's to get a Big Mac, you got a Big Mac, but now we're adding all the McChickens and those bomb fries and all that stuff into the training program. So if it's got wheels, we got a class. But let's talk about some Prodigy audio, I guess. Hopefully, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know if there's a setting on this computer or what, but I don't see any comments. So I'm
Well,
gonna
I
have to
got
get my.
they're coming in for sure. I see them on my end here. So
I'm
just
gonna pull my phone up and try to.
there we go. If you want, I can just give a quick background of the company and tell a little bit about Prodigy for the people out there that don't know it. Prodigy Audio's company started by Jonathan DeMuth, formerly of T3. So if you're a fan of those old TSNS drivers, that's the guy. Jonathan was competitor as far back as the late 90s. He was pretty dominant through the 2000s, but he comes from that sound pressure level side. And when he did T3, he then started Prodigy Audio 8 years later with that kind of experience under his belt. So he's very proud that he's come up with a line that's even better than T3 in his eyes. But the thing that with Prodigy that stands out amongst all the different brands out there, there are a couple brands that do it, is that we specialize in a couple things, subwoofers, amplifiers currently, and we do them very, very well across the entire gamut of the available physics, as we should say, right? So we had 4 cars at World Finals in our first year in business in the sound quality, and we have, of course, our crazy over the top demo SPL cars that we take to a ton of shows all over the place. So if you've seen our JDM Hulk van, that's a 615s it's got 6 3Ks driving those drivers. We've got a square body Suburban with 1512s in it. And we go out and we show the people at Nopi and some of the other places a lot of fun with those.
For
but
sure.
we take a lot of pride in that, being able to go the gamut from hardcore SQ all the way up through our current NB5 offerings, these SPL subs, and we have some even bigger ones coming.
Awesome. So Matt's asking, I haven't seen them, but I might be wrong. Do you have mids and highs?
We are currently in process of producing them. We have a bullet tweeter that is available now. We have, and then we are in process of testing our mid bases. We'll have mids coming later. That's kind of just the timing and the way our concentration is working. Our speaker engineer is Eric Stevens,
Right.
and Eric has got himself going in a bunch of different directions, which doesn't mean he can't do it, but he's also, he works with Harman and a few other companies. So we've been working with him to work our way up the line. So we're going to be getting 8s and 6s on the mid bases first. We got the bullet tweeters. We got a sound quality tweeter coming in after that, and then we're going to be producing mids after that. So there's a timeline to it. They will be coming. But priority number one is honestly the NB7, the giant motor sub.
Right.
The
Yeah,
hand
we
the
were talking about that Saturday evening. So
yeah.
you're getting ready to come out with the big monster sub. Is that what's going on?
Yeah, we're going to be coming out with the two models out of the gate are going to be I believe it's a 4500 watt 18, and then a
Okay.
15. The 15 18 are actually the first two out of the box on that line. They're going to be hand built here in Florida. And whereas we import the other drivers, they're super high quality, come off one of the best lines in the world, but the big boys are coming off, they're going to be done by hand here. And so
Awesome.
that's priority one, then mid bases, and then mid range tweeter.
All right, just real quick. Hopefully, I didn't miss anybody. Mr. Jeffrey, Miss Christina, Tully, Wayne. I think I saw Joe, Mr. Jeremy. If you missed the beginning of the live here, I did announce Wayne is going to be taking over as event director for Michigan. So we're not going to be going anywhere. We're going to keep it going. We're really looking forward to it and seeing how he does. I think he's going to do an awesome job, and we'll make some formal posts here. And when I get off the live, but we let Wayne get home. We had a lot of conversation this weekend, and I had a pretty good talk with Wayne this afternoon. And so we got a little plan together, and we're going to keep it going. And Jeffrey, I haven't forgot about your meter stands, buddy. I should have them when I get back from where I'm at, and then I'll get them to you, and then we'll figure something out because you waited too long. But I appreciate you being patient, man. Mr. Eric. You can't get on the site with any iPhones. Well, it ain't going to be long until the new website comes up. I've got a test environment that I've been looking at. So it shouldn't be too much longer, and that website's going to be disappearing. Hopefully, I got everybody answered here. Mr. Potts, Mr. Miller, how you guys doing this evening? If I missed you, I apologize. But so we're on here with Mr. Brett Barnes. And what are you, sales manager for Prodigy? Is
I'm
that
national sales manager for Prodigy, yes.
okay? So he's Prodigy Audio national sales manager. He's on here to answer any questions you might have about Prodigy Audio. I know they hooked me up with some stuff for the new sound quality build. We got a little that little amp. I when you gave it to me, I was surprised how small it was, even after I opened the box. And it's a heavy little booger, but they didn't put it on the bench yet. They benched the 4 channels because we were trying to get them wired up. But I think they're going to bench it tomorrow, I guess. But for a
You'll be
little bitty old amp,
pleasantly
I think it's
surprised.
pretty strong. Yeah.
Yeah, you'd be pleasantly surprised. I ran that through. I ran that same amp last year for the majority of the season, and I ran MECA Street with it, and it ran mine really well to the and it even had overhead for me beyond what I needed for those 210s I ran underneath the Titan seat. I would like to add that Wayne's daughter did beat me at finals this year in Birmingham. I'd just like to point that out with her Titan. Yep.
So, are you telling me the website's down? I looked at it earlier, but I don't know. Let me look. They might be pulling data off of it too for the test site that we're trying to build, so we can push the main one back live. But hold on, I'll look at it real quick, guys. It might be, yeah. So you're right. I don't know what's going on with it, but I'll shoot him a message and see what's up. But like I said, they might be messing with it and pulling. I know they were going to start pulling data off of it, and that might have done something. So I'll message those guys as soon as the live's over. I apologize about that, but those of you that don't know, the website has been a little wonky for a little over a year. We've been, trying to get it back together, and finally, I guess the last 3-4 months, we just kind of been limping it through. So if something's wrong or anything, absolutely, please let me know. You're not bothering me, but we are getting ready to basically pull that website down and put a new one up. It should be a little bit more interactive, have a few more, things on it. So I'm really looking forward to that, obviously. But if there is something wrong, please let me know, because when they pull that data and everything transfers, obviously we're gonna make backups and all that stuff. But whenever the new site comes up, I don't know how much access I have to the old stuff. So if you do have an issue, please let me know so I can make sure, we fix it when the new website comes up. And obviously, I'll probably get a bunch of issues when that happens. So just bear with us, and hopefully by the end of the season, you guys will have a much better website platform to look at. So, all right, get back to my chat here. Okay.
Yeah, that's your amp up there. That little tiny thing up top there, bud.
Yeah.
That's it up there.
You heard that Park and Pound changed. All right. Sorry, Brett. I'm gonna try to answer these few questions here.
Oh, no,
Let's
go
see.
right ahead.
For the rule books, I was able to post PDFs to the Indiana group and the Ohio group before I got sidetracked and didn't get the rest of them posted. So I will try to start doing that again, either this evening or first thing tomorrow. I couldn't post PDFs to the main MECA page. I don't know. I guess it's something silly with Facebook. I don't know, but it will let me post PDFs in the groups. So I posted PDFs in the Indiana group and in the Ohio group. And so you can find the brand new rule books there. Park and Pound has changed some. We added a class. That'll be the biggest one. And then we also have flash drives now with our own Park and Pound music and the Bandwidth Banger music. And the Park and Pound music is good for Cabin Clout and Park and Pound. For the rest of this season, competitors will be able to play their own songs, whatever, just as they have been the previous years at 1, 2, and 3X shows. And for 4X shows and World Finals, you'll have to play our thumb drive. So basically, we'll hopefully get rid of the, that song's not right or whatever. So everybody will be using the same songs. They're pretty advantageous. I think everybody should be able to remain pretty close to the score that they had. So that did change. I don't really think it's going to change the scores that much, but I will assess the situation after the 4Xs this season. And if the scores have gone down substantially, or people can't catch up, we might reset the world records. But as of now, we're going to keep them as they are, and run with that. Let's see. We added Park and Pound X, so you could meter from either the passenger or driver side, and you're allowed to use mechanical bracing for that class at this point. Still no people, but ratchet straps, sandbags, suction cups, boats, all that good stuff. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it for Park and Pound there. All right. Brett Barnes, it was extremely close, Wayne said. I think he's referring to your comment about his daughter.
Yeah, that was. I think that if I remember correctly, without looking it up, I think it was 3 points first to fourth in the street. It was close for finals, but then again, it's finals. The worst car in class there sounds awesome.
Right.
It was good.
Eric Winter, my Blazer has one of those new radios that you can't replace. Any idea if I can add a second radio? I don't see any reason why you couldn't add a radio to compete. And it could be an external unit. I'm not sure about doing it properly. Brett might know more than that than I do, but otherwise, I'd probably maybe talk to one of the guys that does installs, because I do not know the answer to that. But I do think that all you need is power, ground, and RCA to run a head unit outside the car, really. So I don't see an issue with that.
Yeah, our test vehicle, we have my rep vehicle we picked up because of its difficulty. We picked up it uses the new Hyundai and Genesis system where the head unit's nearly impossible to use and to put an LOC on it, because just the front doors alone have 5 all passes in each of them. So putting an LOC on it, you're not going to get full range from any speaker in the car. So in the case of the vehicle there, we actually have to go in directly into the digital, if you can find it on that car. But the majority of the time in there, we're using either an iPad as the source unit and then going back in through the amplifiers and into the vehicle speakers, or using the internal player inside of the DSP. Both of those options work really, really well. If you use the iPad option, if you can get an iPad mount, as long as your climate controls aren't working through your stereo, that really screws up a couple vehicles that you can't adjust your heat or your air conditioning unless you have that screen. But there's quite a few competitors now that are using an iPad as a main screen, and so of course now you can use it as your GPS and everything. That gives you a nice clean signal.
For sure. So they keeping you busy over there at Prodigy? I know you've been doing this with Prodigy about a year now.
It's been since officially since Made of Steel.
Okay.
So we're May. Yes, very, very busy. It's been coming into a startup company that had only been around for about 6 months at the time, and they had done a really good job of developing the first couple lines of product. When I came in, it was just subwoofers, and the amplifiers hadn't shipped yet. So I had gotten in time to um, you know, be prepped for when the amplifiers came in. But when I first came in, it was like 3 internet dealers and our personal website, and that was pretty much it. We didn't have any installing dealers when I showed up. And when you're getting into doing and you want to legitimize yourself, especially when you have a product like ours, a real nice high-end product, you have to be in installing shops, because there are people that will order it, and there's lots of DIYers, but there's more people that aren't DIYers, but they still want the stuff. So you have to have that install base and get it out to those installers and get it in their hands, and then they can do it properly. And whereas the DIYers that you see at the competitions when we go out there, they've been doing it a long time, and most everybody, including myself, has done it wrong a few times. Hopefully,
Yeah.
hopefully the shop you're buying it from has done that already, and they've gotten that out of their system. So we wanted to be able to get out to shops, and that's what I'm currently doing. But I'm doing it the old-fashioned way.
Right. Doing a
I'm
lot of traveling and pounding
Yep,
the pavement and stuff.
exactly. You go out and visit people. I've cold called every shop I've gone into unless they already know me someplace else.
Right.
Because we're building a family as much as we're building clientele. So if you get in touch with me and you're like, "Hey, Brett, I want to do this and this, but I really don't know what I'm doing, but I want to add base to say my $120,000 Wagoneer, and
Right.
I want to add something to that Macintosh system." Um, I want you, be able to send you to a proper place that can do it. But I want you to feel comfortable when you walk in the front door also. So if I go to a shop in Raleigh, North Carolina, say for instance, I walk in and all I want to do is turn around and walk out, they're probably not going to have my stuff.
Right.
Um, but you walk into, I'll pick on Raleigh, and you walk into Mauricio's place at High Output, and he has you laughing within 30 seconds when you walk in the door. You know, you probably want him selling your stuff. And he
For
knows what
sure.
he's doing.
I
So
guess go ahead.
no,
Sorry.
no, go
I was
ahead.
gonna say, I was trying to think of some questions here. I'm looking at my chat. I'm not seeing a whole lot, so I'll pitch a few questions. So, just some general stuff that I like to ask people when they get on here with us. Um, what got you started into car audio and when, and things of that nature. How'd you get going into this crazy thing?
Well, so you're going to show my age right away. Okay.
Well,
So,
sorry.
yeah. Well, I was like right around the corner from where I grew up in Cortland, New York. So it's right in between Syracuse and Binghamton up there in snow country, where we just
Right.
had a 30-day high of 24 last week. Um, a couple guys built this stereo shop out of an old barber shop. And me and a couple of my buddies would walk in and we check this place out. And instead of being jerks and kicking us out, these guys were showing us stereo gear. And I think
Right.
I was probably like 11 or 12 years old. And this wasn't just like going into like a Sansui dealer. I mean, these guys had, like Genesis speakers and big Macintosh amps and, these things that cost as much as a house in our minds. I mean, more like a car probably. And so I started going there, and I would sit down and I would listen to whatever music they would put in, and then I would listen to it for a little while, and then I'd walk home, and they never really kicked us out. So I got big into audio that way.
Okay.
And then I got my car, and I grew up a gearhead. My dad was he's a state trooper during the week, and we were at Cicero drag racing on Sundays. So I was rebuilding engines when I was a kid. So I spent a lot of time with my car, and I go out hot rodding with my car and built this wonderful piece. When I was 16, I had a 70 Camaro, and I had a tunnel ram and all that stuff on it. Spent every penny on that car. And a guy with a somewhat modern F body pulled up next to me with that big Rockford 1000 in that thing, and was just shaking my car apart worse than my cam could. And from that day, I had to figure out what it was. And I, uh, I started asking around, found a stereo shop, worked my way through it, and my then pretty soon that 70 Camaro had, I don't know if you remember them, the red surround Servo Vega dual voice coil 12s,
Okay.
and running those with some bridged mono alphasonic amplifiers, and then it just became an affliction more than an addiction. It just kept going. I went from alphasonic Sherwin Vega, and then next thing you know, I was running Class A 50s and Class A 100 and ref sound streams onto Blade. And then by the time I was 21 or 22 years old, I was putting more money in Zapco into my car than my car was worth, and competed in my first World Finals in '92. Um,
Okay.
and we went from there. And then I competed and got in the industry, started doing custom building some cars from like '92 to like '94 ish. I had the opportunity to move to Phoenix, Arizona, right in the middle of all the car audio mecca of the time for all the builders.
Uh-huh.
So I did, and went out there, and I went out thinking I was going to get a job with Extant. If anybody remembers those, Jeff Peters and Jeff Schoon had just left PPI, and I'd known Schoon from competition and through some friends, and would call him up on a regular basis. So I moved out there, and somehow in that whole mix of car audio, I got scooped up by a guy that wanted me to come do some home audio stuff for him. And I went from pre-wiring houses to designing home theaters to being in the first 10 people calibrating ISF projectors to all types of stuff, completely went home and then into pro, and just had my car as a hobby again. And right up until 2007, when my wife passed away suddenly, we I was I was working my way through that world, and so I had learned a lot of stuff on the pro side. I'd been a musician my entire life. That part is like, that's always been kind of my hobby. But so I've been doing that stuff and in the pro audio, and the way I got back into it was in 2016. My kids were pulling old trophies and stuff from the old original Iasca trophies and stuff out. I'm going, Dad, you should go compete again.
Right.
Oh, okay, let's give that a try. And I was supposed to be retired and out competing right now, and they sucked me
Here you
back in.
are.
I'm back again.
I
So
guess that goes good into the next thing I'd ask you, and that's you got back into competing and stuff. You've been at it for a couple years. You got in
mhm.
with Prodigy, and so 2026. What's your goals for the future for the company and for your competitive self?
Well, there's a tug of war going on, and there's a tug
Right.
of war going on because there's the competitive sound quality side of me that in what 94, 95 would just do anything to get that one extra spot, that couple extra points. And then there's the me now where I challenge myself and my last score at the previous show more than I'm competing against the other people that are there. And I
Okay.
find that to be a lot more comfortable, um, and a lot more friendly. But it's still, the competition is still there. But then there's the side of me that says, um, I do this for a living, and that the vehicles, I'm not independently wealthy to the point where we're going to have multiple vehicles, and I'm going to compete this one. I'm going to use this as a demo. I'm going to use this, right? So behind this wall behind me, Adam Watkins is back there fabricating my new demo setup for this year. He's still working at it back there, day two. So the Titan's going to be totally different this year. And I, because last year I was doing so hard. I was trying so hard to make a vehicle that was affordable for people
Right.
to be able to afford it. So like my front stage last year, and like Matt, for instance, he judged it last year. You judged it last year. I mean, it was a great sounding vehicle, and it had a $650 front stage.
Right.
Right. This year, I'm not going to tell you how much is in the front stage, but it doesn't have a $650 front stage this year. Um, but this year it's gonna show up and be an all out Prodigy vehicle. So I'm
Awesome.
gonna look at it as, it's gonna essentially be a manufacturer's vehicle, and it's gonna go out there and it's gonna demo to a whole lot more people than it's going to perform to judges. But I still want it to perform well to judges. So the that's what's going forward, is to have this really high end, pristine. What can we do with it? What boundaries can we push with a work truck? Because it still has plastic floors. It's still an S level Nissan, right? So we're fighting all of those. They put the cheaper parts into it, fight, um, but also make it so that, yes, if you leased this car and you owned it for 3 years, you could take stuff back out. That's the stipulation that we're doing. But now let's go over the top a little bit with it, because I'm going to be taking it dealers around the country, and I'm going to be sitting guys in the front seat, and I want them to get the same reaction that most of the people do, and they sit it like, holy crap, I didn't expect this, and
Right.
want to buy
Right.
my stuff.
For
um
sure.
we're, we're proud of our stuff, and we want people to sit in it and take advantage of it. So that's where we're going now. So I'm going to be, and I don't mean to, put down the competition side, because I absolutely love the competition side. There's going to be times I'm at a MECA show that I'm not going to be competing. I'm going to be there as a manufacturer.
Right.
And there's going to be shows that I go to instead of sound quality shows, because I'm out trying to find us new people to come to MECA and to come to these shows, going out to, like we were discussing, the Syracuse Nationals and their puny little 9,000 car field that they have every year. And go up there, and all those people that love to spend money on their cars, let's see how many of those guys we can get into car audio and get
Right.
them into the community, because our community is very, very good, and it has a little bit of a renaissance going on right now, but it's nowhere near the size it was at one time. And we would like to
Sure.
see it bloom out, but that's
That would
pretty much
definitely
where we're
be
going.
awesome.
Yeah. So
Awesome. I saw a question went by. I don't know how long ago it was, but it stuck in my head. So somebody asked about Class AB, but I'm not going to say they don't make one. I'll let Brett answer that, but I think that most of it is Class D right this
right.
second.
So I'm going to be competing with. Okay, so our Class Ds are so advanced and so new and have such nice parts in them that I'm going to be running what is essentially $1,000 a piece UMA plates on a Class D in a sound quality build. And um, it's we have gotten to that part. That point in history. I listened to a $45,000 amplifier a couple weeks ago, up in near New York City. That was Class D, and it
Right.
was absolutely amazing. So the major differences we saw just a little while ago aren't as major, but there's still some little things that, if the trained ear can hear, especially before fine tuning. So if you because a lot of it you can adjust to, um, some of it um, some of it you have to be listening for certain things to even hear it. But
Uh-huh.
we do we're not ruling out doing Class ABs. But as of right now, because we wanted to come in with a concentrated number of SKUs and come up with stuff that sounded really, really good that could cover the widest amount of people, but you still be really good for all of those people, we went with the Class D. The Class D allowed us to do, well, we're on their sound pressure side of our business. We have the 3K, the 2800.1, which is not a huge amp, but you picked it up, you felt it. It's beef.
Yeah,
That
it's
thing's beef.
heavy. Yeah.
That thing's beef. And that Class D, could you imagine 30 years ago, 3K and something that big, right? That it's
No.
just crazy. And then we have the 300.4 that goes along with it, the same form factor. Those two big ones, and the 300.4, that's for our pro audio guys and our SPL guys and our stunt walls and all the type stuff like that. That we now have to be at least 10 feet further away from, correct? Is that the new rule? We have to be back.
Yeah, we did move it back 10 feet.
Yeah,
I,
it's
I,
still going
I
to kill you.
some of my judges was crying. So no, we did it. I did it at 15 feet, and the very first show of the season when I judged it, I looked at the guy judging with me, and I said, "That's too close."
Yeah. So, and then those three little babies over here. This is a 1,000 watt 5 channel,
Okay.
and that 1,000 watt 5 channel, just because of the efficiencies. Um, I've set tons of people in that Sonata with a mediocre tune. I mean, it doesn't really have a real strong tune on it, and they're all absolutely amazed. Not one person that has sat in that car has asked me if that's Class D. Not one.
Right.
And then I'll pick on him right now. I don't think he comes onto these, but one of those people that sat in there and asked me how I got my stage halfway down my hood was John Centers.
Right. Right.
Right? He didn't ask me if it was AB. He just listened to it, thought it sounded amazing, and I could probably do a little better tune on it. I'm like, which I agreed. So, we haven't gotten the ABs out. That doesn't mean we're not going to. We have
Sure.
the ability. Our amplifiers are made in Korea, at a very, very good build house, and we can design what we want we can alter another design if we have a good amplifier builder that we want to go and use their stuff. The builder we have right now, class, he specializes in D and does a very good job in it.
For sure. Mr. Eric Roof, what's going on? Mike Jones, Mr. Sound Solutions, how you guys doing this evening? I got a question today. I was when we were at Tony's and they were doing, messing with running wires and stuff. I did a few videos with the gear that we got for the truck, and the one thing I noticed, and we probably already talked about it, and I just wasn't paying attention or forgot. But so, are all your amps that way where they don't have like a standard RCA input on the side, and you have the
Okay. So the smaller amplifiers, the larger amplifiers like the 2800 and the 300.4, they have Tiffany's on them, and it just
okay,
comes down to sheer real estate. So you have breakout
awesome,
cables on the really small ones, and we would like to put Tiffany's on those as well. But if you take a look at your amplifier, where some guys will put RCA's on the end and they'll compress that really super close together, you'll notice you got those really high end metal pots and stuff on there. They take
yeah,
space. So,
right,
and it allows us to use a standard Molex connector, and
hmm
you can actually change those breakouts and make your own. They're standardized size. If you wanted to have like a fancier cable or whatever on it, you can do that.
sure,
And then you can custom link it. But the ones that come in it, they do work well. In a perfect world, we would be able to fit all that stuff on the end, but we don't want to crunch it together way too much. I personally do not like the breakouts, but our choices are few. We can either try to get some smaller parts that go on there that aren't as field tested and our particular builder doesn't like to use, or we can have the Tiffany's, right? Like, so we get these things. We can go back and forth one way or the other. So we went with the breakouts because that was the least problematic part, and to keep those higher end pots and stuff. So you're not, some of those plastic pots from a couple of years ago were 3 or 4 months down the road, all of a sudden you lose the right channel. You got to get in there and twist it back and forth and stuff because,
right,
it's smaller. It's smaller on the board, takes up less space. The ones we're using are a little bit nicer. The pots in the small ones are as good a quality as the pots in the big ones. So,
awesome.
yeah, so
I
it's just
did see
that's,
that they were metal. Yeah,
yeah. Yeah, they're so we try to use those really high end parts on those. We and then on the other end, of course, we try to keep the end with all the set screws on one end and then put the other stuff on the other
right.
end.
And from what I've seen, most, at least everything I saw, most of it looks like you got some pretty good price points too. So uh,
Yeah.
that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, currently we have a little, there's some industry things that the competitors understand a lot better than the standard people going in the store, and that you have this wide range of price points with similar outcomes from,
Right.
and they may be built at 4 or 5 different levels, and the failure point or the breaking point from this level to this level may not be something that's readily audible to most people, right? So you
Sure.
go in and let's just say, for instance, to take something completely off the wall. Say you go and you want to buy an amplifier, and this does happen in our industry. We hate to admit it, but they go, I don't want a Chinese amp. I want a Korean amp. Well,
Right.
there's a price difference between those two. Labor costs in Korea are higher than labor costs in China. Now, you can take the same build house in China and Korea, and they build almost identical product, but your Chinese amp at that level is going to cost a little bit less than your Korean amp at that level. Now, the crazy old days when we used to have Americans building amps all the time, well, that labor cost was even higher. So does that mean that one sounds better than the other? No, but the perceived value may be different, right?
Sure.
So we take an amplifier that's at the level of, and I'm not going to spit any other brands out there because people can kind of imagine what I'm talking about. You take a similar 3K that's $1,000 amplifier, and ours is a
Right.
$600 amplifier. But then you can find the Chinese one that's $150 less. And
Sure.
if you're going to go for actual build quality, everything from the pots to the connections, the Tiffany connectors, one thing that we do that a lot of people don't, and that's the ability to turn around your name badge because you needed to install it the other direction. Little things like that, little little tiny things like that. We're comparable more with the amp that's $200-300 more than us for total build and sound quality than we are to the one that's $150 less than us. So we like to be in that. Let's give this quality and about that quality, or maybe a little bit more than that, and just a little bit less on the price. And that may seem like we're trying to undercut, but we're not trying to undercut. We're trying to make value in there, because unfortunately in our world, if you compete just on price and everybody just wants price, everybody will race until it's just absolutely garbage equipment and there's no money left, and we won't have a hobby.
Right.
So, if you want to pay for something good, we just want you to be able to pay a fair price for something good. You don't have to overpay for something good. You just pay a fair price for something good, and that's where we sit.
Awesome. Let's see. I guess I know I asked you how you got into car audio earlier. I guess I'm kind of bouncing around, but did you have anybody when you were coming up that maybe inspired you to do something, or do you have a inspiration in car audio?
Oh yeah, I do. I have a couple. I've I had the guy that really pushed me to get better and better and better, and he didn't realize it at the time, because I had gotten into the industry in the early 90s. So I was back in the old original. Tony Pasquale, remember these days, because he's old enough. I'll just point that out. But when we used to do the way we used to judge the lanes, SPL and SQ were pretty much, we're all in the same lanes. And
Right.
but I was in the industry, so I had to do. We used to have the classes that were like 251 to 500 pro, 251 to 500 amateur, that type of thing. And I was in the 251 to 500 pro, and I remember there would be a few of those cars that would drop off the truck because they were trailer queens, and I knew they were showing up as pros. And here I was trying to make sure I had enough gas money to get to the show and back, and have to turn around the dinner, that turn down the dinner afterwards, because I didn't want to admit that I was that broke, but I truly was, and I didn't want to, that type of thing. And I showed up at the first show. I think it might have been PJ's Car Stereo out in Erie, Pennsylvania, who they
Okay.
OEM'd ProTech, and they pulled Richard Clark's Grand National off the trailer, and he was in my class. And I think he was in every magazine for like the 2 or 3 months previous to that. And that was the old Image Dynamics vehicles. And
Right. Okay.
so he's got a Grand National. He's got probably $20,000 in that day's money worth of crap in it. And I showed up with my Tempo GL with a bunch of Soundstream and stuff in it, thought I was cool. Um, and but I took that opportunity to talk to those guys and look at how they did their installs, and learn which of these guys came up with a good result because they actually figured it out, and which guys came out with a good result because they lucked into something and were able to repeat it.
Right.
And back then that happened a lot. You would specialize in a certain pickup truck, and you put a combination of stuff together, and it worked really well in there, and then you could do it again and again,
Sure.
and you would see that. Whereas now, you almost any of those sound quality ones, especially, your first thing you're doing is you're figuring out what the best locations are, but then you're going in with a DSP, so you can do all this fine tune adjusting. Well, the SPL guys, they had to be very, very careful how they put things in there, because you get to a certain depth of stage in SPL, and you start taking your own SPL away from yourself in wave cancellation. And then SQ guys, we didn't have DSPs, so the only way we could do image aiming was with crazy EQs. So, but that's where I learned those things about the science, was going to the right person and saying, okay, this guy consistently wins. This guy wins the local shows. He tells me one thing, he tells me something else. And he can do it with a bunch of different kinds of vehicles. So I don't think I'm going to trust this guy. So you use that deduction and
Right.
listen to the science, and then go try to reproduce it for yourself. So when I had these great imaging cars in the late 80s and early 90s, at first it was DBX Pro equalizers with inverters. And then it was something like a PEQ or an audio control that gave me
Okay.
stereo EQ. So
Huh.
so it was like
Y'all
I
had
was
a
like,
lot of fun trying to figure that out back in the day, then, huh?
Oh yeah, it was, and but it was, but then somebody like a Richard Clark would come in, and he's got all this image dynamics rack mount stuff that works in a car. It's designed for a car. So I go out to the local music store and I try to find two identical used equalizers,
Okay,
and because that's what I could afford. It
for sure.
wasn't.
Right.
And then I remember Zapco, because Zapco competitor in the around that time, and they had the PEQ, which was a stereo equalizer, and that was my best friend, with the exception of large weather changes, because they were analog. It was 90 degrees one show, totally different EQ curve, so you had to redo it depending on where you were. But
Hmm.
that was a learning curve back then that a lot of people don't have to worry about today.
Yeah, we definitely added some classes and stuff. Like I said, I'll try to start getting those posted PDFs to the other groups there, y'all. But if you haven't seen them and you just can't wait, I did get them on the Indiana page and the Ohio page, and then I just kind of got sidetracked, and then the last couple of days, been going back and forth from Orlando, Dedner, and getting this install done. And I'm starting to get excited. I can't wait to actually get it going. I think we might get pretty close tomorrow, so um, that should be fun. But I apologize for slacking a little bit there, but don't worry, the rule books are done. All the trainees, all the judges got them. We had a great training class. I think we had about 16 or so folks that came. Um, got a lot of good stuff, I think, going on. Met a couple of really really nice new people. Um, like I said, we got to spend some time with Wayne and get some things figured out there. And then also Stephen Wallace and his son were down here. Yes, Shannon, and they are going to be taking over in Kentucky and Southern Indiana there. So we can get out and about a little bit more. And Selena's doing her full time job thing now, so we're going to get those guys going pretty good this year. I think they felt like they learned a lot. And then we have our new event director for Iowa here, Sierra Quick, is going to be an event director in Iowa, and I believe Shannon and I will be there in May to pretty much hopefully finish off her training, and then hopefully we'll get Iowa and Minnesota. I think she dabbles into there too, going, and I don't know, a lot of other stuff talking and going. Hopefully we can keep it up and catch some ground here and start burning rubber, because we're starting to open up. I feel like we're finally starting to open some new doors and things. So hopefully, we'll keep on growing what we do, and inevitably be able to help these everybody, really the whole community, get more people involved.
Hey, look at my boss showed up.
Oh, how you doing,
Uh,
Mr. Jonathan? Uh, he said, "Hey, I know Brett."
Can I add one thing about your training that you didn't mention at all yet?
Sure.
Wayne Wayne put on a wonderful training on show and shine and the potential to grow show and shine. It was
Right.
awesome.
Yep, that is definitely one of the things we plan to start pressing the gas pedal on in the next couple years. Me and Wayne been I think I we put him in charge of show and shine maybe a couple years ago. We've revamped, most of the rules, and then we kind of did it again this year. And still some things to work on, but I think it's almost to the point where we're about ready to start pushing it, and see what we can do, where we can go, and open up some new avenues for the club, and hopefully get some more folks involved in our sound quality, sound pressure, dueling demo programs, and across the board, really. So I think once we really get it going, it'll be good. Uh, yeah, Brett or Wayne said thanks, Brett. Um, yeah, we like I said, we kind of put some eggs into the dueling demos basket. Obviously, we're always pushing the sound pressure stuff, trying to get it, going the right direction. But I feel like we have, pretty solid foundations in sound quality and sound pressure. I think dueling demos is getting there. Now we've added some classes. Hopefully, try to get some of these monster demo guys involved. Just get them in the lanes, have some fun. I don't know. We got a lot of things going on. I don't know it all off the top of my head, but I try. And what else we got here?
All right, Sound Solutions. I used to run 2 Class A 50s, Class A 100, and I ran a Ref 200, I think, for a little while. But I ran my entire system on those 3, the 2 Class A 50s and the Class A 100 for a while. Until, like I was telling a few of the guys this weekend, you could give 15-minute demos in July because those Class A's were going to shut off. And that was about it. Then give it a break.
That's pretty true. Or else you were going to cook hamburgers on them, one or the other, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and then I made a decision. Somebody talked me into, you should try those Blade amps. They didn't last any longer. They were cooler looking, but they weren't cooler. They were hot, Canadian hot.
Let's see. I guess I'll do one more question, and then I'll let you close it out with some more Prodigy stuff. Let's see. I don't know if it'll be an old score or a new score, but what are some of your best scores or most memorable times in competition?
Oh, well, actually, the one that shocked me the most was honestly that's in recent memory because I did take quite a few trophies back in the 90s, but I swear that the majority of those trophies I took out was because I was pro, and there would be had the 3 spots and 2 of us showed up. But
Right.
yeah, so this Made of Steel shocked me this year, and I had. A couple of people had gotten into the car at Pigeon Forge, and I'd done a halfway decent tune on it. And but then Steve had jumped into it for, I don't know, long enough to where I think Tony made him finally get out because it kept getting louder and louder. But he did a nice tune for me. I did a couple small changes, showed up, Made of Steel didn't touch anything besides that, and that was an 87 tune that day at an big SPL event, and somehow
Awesome.
it just totally killed it. And the look on Tony's face when he got out from judging it was pretty classic. But then, of course, I had that absolutely wonderful tune. So what do? You change it. So
Oh yeah. You got to make it better, right? But then you got to make it worse before you make it better too.
yeah.
So
Plus, I was playing with it through the season because of different parts. Being in the industry, I was trying a couple different pieces of hardware out through the year too. That was kind of that seemed to be a really good spot for it, and I was really happy with that. And it was the place I was, and everything came around, and to get a first place at a show, pretty much any show with other people, in my first full year back was very cool. That one's hanging on my wall. The other ones are sitting on a shelf.
Sound Solution says you used to have to mount the 10.0 amp on an angle so they didn't short out with the solder running.
Yes, they were. Oh God, those things were. God, they sounded really, really good after about 8-10 hours out of the box. And then they were just so hot. I mean, they were crazy, crazy hot. I still have one of my original Class A 50s. And as a joke, you just kind of say, hey, you don't have to use as much heat in the garage during the winter.
Right.
Just listen to some music. But yeah, they were crazy. And I had this
Well,
Soundstream cassette deck back then too. That's how old I am.
oh man. So yeah, Brett's definitely been around. So check out Prodigy Audio. Any of my dealers in here, retail members, Sound Solution, Puns, Matt, Wayne, all you guys. I'm not probably mentioning everybody in here off the top of my head, but if you're a brick and mortar, I think that's what they're mostly focused on right now. If you're a brick and mortar and you want to check them out, give me a shout. I'll put you in touch or get on their website, check them out. Um, I think we've been on for an hour. If you guys got questions, ask them. But I'm going to go ahead and let Mr. Brett tell you, maybe tell you some more stuff about Prodigy and sign off. I won't keep him all night because I know we can. Me and Brett can talk all night. So
Oh yeah,
we already learned that.
I
So
think we already did.
I think it's part of the reason why my voice is not right.
Yeah. Well, that was a fun day. Well, plus you were talking all day before the after party. So
That is true. All right, so Prodigy Audio, Brett Barnes, you got any last things you want to tell the folks about Prodigy? Or I know you said you had a big new subwoofer coming.
yeah, we got
Um,
Jonathan who's in the room. He's working on the NB7. That's in the future. Um, that's one of those, you got to have a large enough vehicle just to have the suspension to hold that thing. Um,
sure.
he's working on those. And like I said, we've got mid basses coming. We've got and some other stuff coming as we'll be rolling out. It's concentrating on doing stuff really, really well as we go. Don't bring things out just to bring them out. Just bring out really good stuff.
Right. Sound Solution said he's always interested, but he asked how do they compare to Audio Frog?
Well, Audio Frog. Audio Frog's really good stuff. Audio Frog, the Audio Frog has more. They definitely have a lot more in their catalog when it comes to front stage stuff. Tweeters, mids. Their door drivers are going to be a different sonically, different Q levels than our mid basses that are coming out. They have a much more complete line on that front stage. AudioFrog's got some great tweets. They've got some great mids. I mean, as you can see, I'm not much for bashing good stuff. I mean, it is really, really good stuff. And I mean, and their subwoofers that they have are definitely an SQ centric. They're very similar sound. They'd be real close to our NB2s. A really good strong sound. Digs really, really low. Um, and but and and also a wonderful company for getting information for people that want to learn how to tune and things. They've
Okay.
got an unbelievable tuning, like step by step, like little handbook checklist, and teaching theory and things of that sort. So Audio Frog, good company. They have some good speakers and stuff. Very similar to our company. Enthusiast started company, not somebody that was out to make money. See, this is somebody that loved audio, didn't find exactly what they're looking for, started a company. Jonathan DeMuth loves doing this
Right.
stuff. This is his thing. Starts the company. So yes, they're respectable and very good, but different.
Yeah, I think I've met Jonathan a few times now, but I think when I kind of I don't want to say first got into it, probably maybe 4 or 5 years, but one of the you mentioned T3 audio, and those of you that don't know, shoot, I don't even know if I can put a date on it because my mind don't work anymore. I don't know what day it is right now. But those things used to be, one of the better speakers on the market. And the first time I got introduced to him, I was at Spring Break Nationals, and Bob Perillo was running. I think I want to say nine TSNS or something like that. And at the time, back then, a lot of the bigger guys, they were, kind of secretive, and you couldn't get a whole lot of information. And as a younger person, I'm running around just, my eyes and ears open, just trying to pick up whatever I can. And he was one of the first, big dogs that, he caught me looking at his car kind of, and he was like, "Hey man, come here." And, super cool dude. And, T3 TSNS was one of the baddest subwoofers on the planet for a while. So, you know, shout out for that. And I'm looking forward to see what you guys come out with next.
Well, thanks. We're excited about things going forward. This whole Southern swing, getting out of New York, wasn't. It was the decision to come down for as long as I'm coming down was made before it got so cold, before we knew it was going to be so cold. So it's just convenient to not be in New York right now. But
Sure.
between your training and going and seeing a bunch of my dealers in the South here, because that's how we're doing it. We're doing it organically, and we're getting out and we're shaking hands, seeing people, putting product in their hands, setting them in my car, all of that, and doing it the old-fashioned way.
Awesome. All right. Well, I really appreciate you guys. I appreciate, this relationship we're building. I'm really looking forward to our future together. And, like I said, anybody interested in the Prodigy audio stuff, get a hold of them, check it out. And I think I'm gonna let Brett go, so we're not on here all night long. And I'm sure he's got traveling to do tomorrow. So I appreciate it, Brett. Thanks for coming
Nice
on and
seeing it, Lee.
chatting with me. And
You are welcome.
we'll do it again sometime.
Awesome.
All right. Thank you, sir. And boom. All right, y'all. I'm back here in my spaceship with my stormtrooper. So I think that was a pretty good show, pretty informational. Obviously a new company that is working with us, and excited to work with them. And Brett came to our training, and I got to know him. I think pretty decent and good people. So check him out. And Jonathan Demuth and Brett, Prodigy Audio. Make sure you check them out. I think I didn't have a whole lot to go over because we've been doing training and I'm working on this install. I know we'll have some plans coming up in the future. Like I said, we got a show coming up in Texas this weekend on the 14th, I believe, or the day before. But I better look. Hold on. Yeah, it'll be on the 14th. They're in Temple, Texas. So I'm going to let that scroll for a second while I get ready to cut out of here. I don't know why my chat box wasn't working this evening. I had to basically read you off my phone. So anybody, if I missed you, I apologize. I did let everybody know at the beginning of the live, Mr. Wayne Beard's going to be taking over event director for Michigan. We're working on getting him a few more people to help him out. I'm sure Matt's going to step up and help him. We always got Mr. Schlaball and a couple other people in his corner. So, Wayne's going to hit the ground running here, and we should have some events scheduled here in Michigan before too long. So that's what's going on in MECA land this week. So I appreciate everybody hanging out with us for the last hour. Until next time, I think you guys know the drill, but keep it loud and clear, MECA heads. They moved my buttons. And I don't have my mouse. Boom. Now